So what do we do to help our children complete instructions well? Part of it is, yes, reporting back into mom and dad or whoever gave the instruction. So the instruction routine is a simple routine that we've designed to help build cooperation in kids' hearts. God wants kids to learn how to cooperate, how to follow their parents' instructions, and also how to honor others, how to live like Jesus lived, and look for ways to serve others in their community, in their family, in their sibling group, in the world. And so the instruction routine is one component of the work we do with children. Many times parents get distracted by the instruction routine. They think it's all about getting something done. That's the benefit of the instruction routine, that we get something done. But that's not the purpose of it. The real purpose of it is to build cooperation in the heart. We can't just talk about that with our kids, though we should talk about cooperation with our kids. We can't just read Bible verses about cooperation with our kids, though we should read Bible verses about cooperation with our kids. We can't just tell them stories about cooperation, though we should tell them stories about cooperation. We need to provide kids with actual real-world opportunities to practice cooperation. And so the instruction routine is designed to work on that in the heart. One of the things we do is we teach that the instruction routine is built around relationship, that you need to have a solid relationship with your child in order to be able to work on cooperation. And if you're like, oh, well, my relationship right now is not that solid. Good news, it's not too hard to work on this. Part of it is being intentional in your relationship, building activities with your kid, and part of it is implementing an instruction routine that focuses on the relationship. And I teach a whole module on how to do this in my Connected Cooperation course. I'll put the link in the description down below that you can check out. It's a fantastic, simple course that really can start changing the direction things are going in family life, from going negative to going positive in family life. But I teach this to you, and what we show is that how to give an instruction. So you're doing that, from what you're saying. Your child's coming over when you call their name. And I'm assuming you're not shouting for them across the house. You're getting close because that's important to demonstrate that we value them in relationship. I hope you're giving positive feedback when they come over and saying kind things like, great job coming over, because the instruction routine is designed to build relationship as well. But what do? We gave our child instruction. They said, okay, they don't have a bad attitude. They go off to work on it, but then they're not coming back. And that's part of the instruction routine that we have. Come on back and check back in with a parent. Is that important? Absolutely. It's really important to do with kids. Here's why. We're teaching a lot of things beyond cooperation. Cooperation has many sub-components, sub-core heart values that we're developing as well. When we call a child by their name and they come over and say, I'm coming, Dad, they're showing responsiveness in their hearts. When we tell them to do something, and we're using a very kind voice when we're doing that, and they say, okay, Dad, and they start going to get it, they're demonstrating more responsiveness and understanding that they've got a job to do. That's responsibility we're developing. When they come back to check in, they're demonstrating that they understand there's accountability here. And we're helping to develop thoroughness as well. So when they come back to check in, we don't want to just say, you're fine, thanks. Not initially, not with kids who we're working on this routine with. I'm thinking about my 16-year-old, my 18-year-old. They're old enough and they've done this for so long, that I generally can just say, hey, thanks so much, great job, and they go. But even then, sometimes I check on them, see how they're doing. But my other kids, no, they come to check in, and I say, great, thank you for checking back in. And then we go check their job together. Don't you trust them, BJ? Absolutely. This isn't about trust. This is about developing those heart qualities we're looking to develop, that thoroughness, that accountability. And I want to give them a gift. I'll show you what that is in a moment. I'm going to go back with them to the chore they were doing. So let's say your 10-year-old was responsible for picking up the toys in the playroom. And so you go into the playroom and you notice that he's put all the toys back in the toy box, most of the toys back on the shelves, but the Legos are still spilled out in the one corner. I want you to picture what happens if you go back with your child, and then what happens if you don't go back with your child. So if your child comes to you, says, Dad, I'm all done cleaning the playroom, and you say, okay, let's go check. When your child comes to tell you they're all done, they're meaning to communicate one of two things. Either they're saying, Dad, I genuinely believe that the job that I just did is what a completed playroom cleanup looks like, or whatever the task is. Or they're telling you, Dad, I genuinely believe that you're going to be lazy and not come and check up on me. They're saying one or the other. I really don't care which one they're saying. I'm going to check in. So now when I check in, I notice and I say things like, hey, great job getting all the toys in the toy box. That lid even closes. Fantastic. And the toys on the shelf look great. Hey, I noticed you left your Legos out here. Those got to get cleaned up too. Once you're done with that, you're free to go. I just had a positive interaction with my kid. I got to give him positive feedback here and there. And then I just helped my kid see there's one more thing you need to get done. Go do that. And if it's a big, let's say the Legos are all over the place, I might tell my child, when you're done cleaning up, check back in one more time. Or I might stay and say, why don't you and I pick it up together? That's okay too. That's a parenting decision I make in the moment based on a lot of factors, including, is this kid wiped out and tired from the day and I don't want to keep pushing him, so I'm going to join in and use my relationship to help get the job done? Did my kid, how dirty was the rest of the room? Did this just take like a half hour for them to do? Or was it like a 2-minute job? Like there's a lot of factors involved here. I'm going to make that decision on the fly. But then at the end of it all, no matter what, here's the gift. I want to be able to tell my kid, hey, guess what? This looks great. You're free to go. Those are important words to speak into a child's life because they need to hear those words because when we told them they had a responsibility, we put a little weight on their heart. You know how you feel when you get a job? That job could be something your boss told you to do, a phone call you need to make, a medical appointment you need to make and you don't feel like doing that. Whatever it is, you feel this burden on your heart. That's called responsibility. It's a good burden you feel at that point. Taking care of it is the only way to relieve that feeling. When the phone call's done, when the appointment is made, when the task your boss gave you is finished, that weight comes off and you feel great. If we don't check in with our kids, if our kids don't, check in with us and we go see how they did and give some feedback and release them, they don't get that gift of that weight that we put on them coming off. And if we don't give them that gift of pulling that responsibility off their hearts, they're going to develop a bad attitude about tasks because they're just going to feel like we're just taskmasters, making them do things when that's not at all our heart. So yes, we want to follow up with our kids. Make sure they've come back to check in. Now you might be saying, but BJ, he's not doing this. I get why it's important now. How do I increase his checking in? Because he keeps forgetting. Maybe he's a kid, you didn't mention this, but this is especially true for kids with something like, ADHD. They're just very distracted. So this is going to be a difficult thing for them to remember. That's where our role in the instruction process comes in. And I explain it all in Connected Cooperation. Check it out in the link down below or just head over to JesusHelpMeParent.com/connected cooperation. You'll see all the details there. But one big part of it is when we give a kid a task, so many of us check it off. And we're like, okay, I told him to go do his thing. All right. And we're like, it's done. I got a million other things I'm doing as a parent. I can't keep paying attention to that. But here's what happens. When kids don't check back in and we don't check that off, I want you to picture that same scenario where your kid cleaned up the playroom but left the Legos a mess in the corner. A couple of things happen. One, you totally forgot to. Your kid's off playing, and 2 hours later, you happen to walk through the playroom and remember what you said. I don't know too many parents who see the playroom and say things like, well, my kid did most of the job well. That's not usually what we say. We usually look around and notice those Legos right away, and we say things like, we don't say, oh, that's right, I told him to clean up, and he never checked back in, and I really didn't do a good job making sure he checked back in, so this is my bad, and we're going to let this go. I don't know too many of us that do that. Most of us look and go like, I can't believe this kid didn't finish this job already. Look, the Legos are everywhere. How does he think this is clean? And then we go off with an attitude to find our kid. And this just goes in the wrong direction. So the checking back in is huge because we think we're saving time by checking it off our mental list. Our kid will just get it done. But we're not. Because one, it stays here until we check it off. And it stays with our kid until they check it off. And two, we eventually notice it. And we get frustrated and things go bad. So yes, coming back will save time in the long run. And we get to give that gift to our kid that I talked about. So it helps us prevent things from going south. It helps us to make sure we're giving positive feedback to our kids. It helps us to keep any constructive feedback positive still and an opportunity to build relationship. But here's one more benefit. Think about why would a 10-year-old maybe not clean up the Legos, but clean up everything else in the playroom? Think about the nature of Legos. They are not a set it and forget it or build it in a half hour, move on type of a toy. That's a type of toy that when we play with it, we're building something and we don't quite finish because it's time for our bath or time for dinner or whatever. So do you want to put that away? No, you already have a plan you have there. So your kid wants to stay and leave that toy there. So if you just don't check in with your kid and go check how the job is, you just notice the messy Legos, you start yelling at your kid, that just goes the wrong way. But by checking back with your kid comes, they notice it and you notice it and you say something like, hey, great job cleaning up all the rest of the playroom. I love how the toy box can close. That's fantastic. Hey, the Legos are still out. It's a real mess over here. Your kid might say, oh, Dad, the reason I left that there is because I'm in the middle of a building project. Would it be okay if I left it there? And then now you have the chance to be flexible in your parenting with your kid and say things like, sure, absolutely. The one thing I want you to do is just push some of those Legos back into the corner or just put the ones in a separate tray over here that you're still using. So that way the floor is cleared out so no one steps on anything. You get a chance to be adaptable and work with your kid rather than how it's going to go if you don't. So yes, having your child check back in is really important. Getting them to do that means, one, making sure the tasks we're giving them are small enough that they can be successful and still remember to come back. So sometimes the reason they're not checking back is that the tasks we're giving are too big. So maybe find some other tasks that are a little bit smaller that you know they can be successful at and are meaningful and make sure to include them in the instructions. So the second thing you can do is say something as simple as, when you give the instruction, you're going to say, Jonathan, going to make up a name here that I always use. Jonathan, you need to go clean up the playroom and come and check back in with me. And so you've added it into the instruction there, which helps a lot of kids. But three, your job when you send your kid on a mission to go do something is to wait expectantly. That means we need to, one, remember that we gave the kid the job. Two, we need to pay attention to what they're doing at that point. So We might be in the same room doing something else. We might walk through the room and notice how they're doing and give them a little feedback as we walk through. Wow, this room's really looking a lot better already. I can't wait for you to come check in with me when you're all done picking up those Legos over there. Right? Like, just real quick, not hovering over our kid, not trying to give every demand or anything like that. Just kind of walking through or being in the same room. If it's a really big task, it might be a job that we should do with our child. For the everyday routines and chores that your kids do, whether it's making their bed, cleaning up, maybe your child cleans the bathroom, does the basic bathroom cleanup, or clears the table in the dishwasher, those routine chores that they do all the time, you don't want to just tell your kid to do them. You want to introduce your child to them, model what it means, maybe put a little Post-it note on the wall with like 3 things that they should do to make sure it's all done the right way, and work with them on that one chore over and over and over again until you feel like, you know what, they can do this. And you frame it in the mindset of, hey, guess what? You're getting to be so big, you're ready for a new chore. You ready for it? And you work on it together. So that is going to help your child start showing up. When you start waiting more expectantly by being a little bit more present when you're setting them on these jobs, your child starts showing up more and checking in, which allows you to give that wonderful gift where you say you're free to go.